Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and I was hanging out on YouTube today and came across Amethyst Ascension, who was doing a video or VR to Eries Witchcraft, her BFF, and she had done another one of her fairy tale hashtags. So last time she did Alice in Wonderland, this time she did Beauty and the Beast. So it's hashtag Beauty and the Beast Tarot. And there's 9 prompts. And before I continue to blabber on, let's get on with it. So the premise is basically she's done 9 questions based on the Beauty and the Beast. So anyway, and it has to do with tarot, oracle, whatever. So here we go. So for the first question, it says, show me your bell deck. This deck is beautiful on the outside as well as in. And the first deck and the only oracle deck in this whole thing is my Wisdom of Haviz oracle deck. The box looks like a beautiful box envelope. It is so stunning. So stunning. And it's got this magnetic closure here. So beautiful. And you just continue to open to beauty. Yeah, the further you go, the more beautiful it is. And look at the backs. They're just stunning. They are shiny cards. And they do have a gold gilding. But this deck is gorgeous. Gorgeous. And I've had some very profound, readings with this deck. It is stunning. And now there's 2 new decks that, this is published by US Games. They've got 2 new oracle decks I want so bad. That is, I think, all the same artist in all 3 of these decks. It's stunning. This one actually has some poetry in it, which is why one of the reasons I was drawn to this deck is because of the poetry. But the art in it is just so stunning. I'm just like, stunning. So that is my bell deck, and this is, of course, the only deck I could think of for my pretty little bell deck. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. The next one is show me your tarot library. Let's see those decks on those shelves. And I don't have a way to do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm very much a virgin when it comes to thinking of how to do work YouTube. So if I can't figure out how to post the video or the picture I took, I might post it in the description below. Either way, you'll have it in there, hopefully. It'll be my first attempt at real editing, so wish me luck. So for question 3, more than the provincial life. Show me a deck that inspires a dream life you would like, fantasy or realistic. And I had a hard time with this one because I just did one. I'm sorry, just hit the camera. That's because the camera's on my pants. Wow. I just did a thing with Candy Soul and Soil about where living in tarot. And I was like, which ones did I pick for that? I couldn't remember. But I did see the Forest Creatures Tarot. This is a limited edition by Taroko Studios. This deck is gorgeous. And there's a couple other decks in this video, too, that I would probably choose for this as well. And I'll just let you know when I get to them. But this is humongous cards. And it's got all my fantasy. It's got berries in it. It just looks very fantasy-esque. And I probably was a fairy in a former life, and I lived in trees because I went barefoot for most of my childhood and outside. Communed with nature, was one with nature quite a bit of my youth. So this deck speaks to that. Totally speaks to that. It's a stunning deck. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful deck. Beautiful. Yeah, totally see myself living in the trees here with the fairies, amongst the fairies. And it's a stunning, stunning deck. So that would be my, what did I say? Number 3 was. Number 3, more than the provincial life. Show me a deck that inspires a dream like life you would like. So yeah, fantasy or realistic. So number 4 is show me your Gaston deck. This deck is one that everyone around you flocked to, but you didn't really want it. Or a deck you gave away, and why? I've not given it away because something inside of me continues to haunt me with this deck. And I've talked about this deck many times. It is the Druidcraft. This deck I had dreams about before I ever bought it. I had never, to this day, have never had any intention of owning this deck. I don't know why. It's haunted me, though. It's been in my dreams, like, buy me, buy me, buy me. I'm like, why? 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 Don't get me wrong. The aesthetic of this deck is exactly up my alley. For some odd reason, I have a... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't get it because the artwork is exactly my aesthetic. Exactly. But I've never been drawn to this deck, ever. Could not tell you why. And then I started dreaming about it. And it was not on my radar. It was not on my wish list. I was never going to buy this deck. And then I started dreaming about it every single night. And I'm like, okay. And then I bought it on discount somewhere. Okay. So this deck was just, yeah, it's stunning. Totally up my alley. It's just not one I was ever into. Or has still after buying it. It mainly just sits in as a placeholder on my shelf. Don't know why. I have pulled a couple cards from it, and they were okay reads. I mean, it's an okay read, but it's just... And I don't get rid of it for that simple fact that there's something nagging at me to keep it. Just like there was something nagging me to buy it. So I think eventually it's going to come into play, but not right now. So that is my Gaston deck. So my number 5, show me your Beast deck. This deck you didn't like at first, but ended up falling in love with its charm. And that would be my mini Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot by Lo Scarabero. I just recently, if you watched that video, realized the reason I bought this deck and the place it has in my collection. Because it's basically helping me through past relationship trauma. And once I realized that, I'm like, oh my God, this deck is our relationship. And once I realized that and had that realization moment, this deck kind of like warmed its way into my heart. It was like, see, I'm here for a reason. You bought me for a reason, and now you know that reason. I have a couple other decks, just kind of like the Druidcraft, where I bought it just to see what the hype was, or something nagged at me to buy it that I really don't use. But I keep them because something prompted me to buy them. This is one of them. And I was like, I'm just going to buy it to see if I even get along with it. I don't know what the hype is. And then I got it and I worked with it. And I'm like, that's exactly why. So this one is no longer on the questionable list of why did I buy you. Yeah, I know exactly why I bought it. And that's what made me love the deck. I'm like, oh, that's why. It's nice when you know a deck has a place in your collection or your library, if as it were. So that was number 5. Number 6, show me your castle deck. This deck took a while to connect with, but when you did, it became familiar and supportive like home. And this is a newer one in my collection as well. It is the Clarity Tarot. It is published by, is that Red Feather? I don't know what that symbol is. I don't know. You can buy it on Amazon. I was dying for this deck. Got it in the mail, and I'm like, oh my god, what did they do? Like, the cardstock is paper thin. The gilding's already, like, it was wearing off before I started shuffling. Some of it didn't even get gilded. The gilding job was horrid. And I'm like, it's stunning. And I'm like, why did I buy you? And you have an immediate love and money reading with this deck. You also have yes or no number letters up here. As I did my walkthrough in this deck, I realized this deck was not for me. And there was many problems with it. Many, many, many problems. The images are gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. I love the artwork. And then something told me, you know what? Use it as a yes or no deck only, because every card has a yes or no. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And it's been profound using it that way. So after doing my initial walkthrough, I didn't like it, but then it came back around, if that makes any sense at all. And it's stunning artwork. Stunning, stunning, stunning artwork. There's just a few things that if you watch my walkthrough of this, you'll know why I have issues with this deck. Mainly the cardstock is like paper thin. It's horrid. So that was the Clarity Tarot. I think that is Red Feather. I'll put it in the comments or in below. So that was number 5. No, that was number 6. Number 7. Show me your chip deck. This deck is childish or has an innocence to it, but gives wise advice. And I thought of my Mystical Medleys, which is 1111 publication, because I initially got this deck because it was cute. And I'm like, oh, it's so adorable. Comes with a typical hardback book from Liminal 11. Love the backs. It's very old school cartoon. And then something said, this is your childhood trauma deck. And I'm like, what? Because when I did my initial walkthrough, and even after that, I realized there was a lot of cards in here that were very hard-hitting, despite the fact that these are cartoons. They just hit me in a certain way that I'm like, okay, this is not a sweet little innocent deck. And then I did a spread with it for inner child work, and I'm like, oh my God, like, it was amazing. And I realized this may be an inner child work, but it's going to give you the hard-hitting stuff you need to heal from that inner child. Yeah, so that is my Mystical Medleys deck. That is my chip deck. The deck that seems childlike and innocent, but it's not. And it gives you hard-hitting messages. And I love it for that. Okay, so we're on to, that was number 7. 8. Show me your Maurice deck. This is the deck that is fatherly and helps you reinvent thoughts or perspectives. And the only deck that I thought that had a male energy to it would be this Journey of the Sacred Bee. And I'll tell you why. I did not want this deck. Love the gilding. Love the backs. Something nagged at me to buy it after the Kickstarter, after the pre-order. It was stalking me. And I finally bought it. Got it in the mail, and it was an instant connection. It was an instant, this is my teacher. This is my Hierophant. And I always see that the Hierophant is like an older professor, male professor. So that's why I say this is my fatherly kind of deck, because this is the deck that I see as a male teacher of sorts. Because every time I use this deck, I learn something new. Not about the deck itself, but about myself, or about the nature of humanity, or really deep, profound things. And it's amazing. And it's gorgeous, second of all. And the cardstock is amazing. And yeah, So that is my Maurice deck. My fatherly advice deck, which is awesome. And I can't wait for the new one to come out. Lastly, we have number 9. Show me your happy ever after deck. This is this deck is love themed or romantic, or show your favorite lover's card in a deck. So, if you just take into account the happy ever after deck, without saying it's a lover's card, I'm going to go with Lightseers, because this is my soul deck. It's the deck that I have had so many breakthroughs with. I've edged it. This is published by Hay House. Everybody's seen this deck, but yeah, it's my, if I could be in a deck, this would be it. And of course, this lover's card is the card that made me think about how they're caught up in each other, but at the same time, it also helped me think about the lover's card is not just a lover of each other, but a love of self. There's a certain self-love in this card that I see that I don't think anybody else sees, but I do. And that's what made me love the lover's card in a deck. This is one of my favorites. And I was going to show you this deck. That's why I just didn't pull it out. It's a stunning deck. Stunning deck. And everybody's seen it, so I'm not going to belabor it. But what I did do, because that is if we're just talking happily ever after, if I could only ever have one deck, this would be it. But if we are talking lovers in that sense, I did pull out 5 other cards from other decks that are the lovers cards that I wanted to show you guys real quick, and just a quick explanation of why. This is the New Era Elements Tarot. This is what it looks like. By Eleanor F. Piper, PhD. This is a U.S. Games deck. Just because I love the thought of them being together this long, that they've aged together. And I love that concept. And it made me think of my grandmother and my grandfather, because they were together for like 50-something years, and then she just now passed. He passed like 25, 30 years ago. And she just now passed, and in her late 90s. So I feel like I know he was waiting for her. And it was kind of like they reunited again. So that's one of the reasons I love that card. Then we have the Elemental Wisdom, which is also one of the, could have been in my pretty within and without my bell deck, because it's so gorgeous. I don't normally like a typical biblical looking card in my majors, but this one just screamed beautiful and take me home. And bought it for this card, and then the whole deck is just amazing. And now I've got the Slavic Legends, which is their newest deck, on its way to me. So I'm so excited. And then we have the Meraki Tarot, first edition. I love the way we have the sun rays and the tree is reaching for the sun. They're like yearning for each other. They're like the yin and yang of each other. It's just stunning. I love that thought in that card. And then we have the Mermaid's Tarot. And I love that, again, here we have that self-reflection, self-love in the card. And I love that. Love it. And then we have the last but not least, My Zombie Tarot. It makes me laugh, but at the same time, like, they're dying for each other. Like, impressive. Because I love my husband, but I don't know that I would die for him. So, what does that say about me? I don't know. But that's all the prompts I have, and that's my VR to Eries Witchcraft. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And y'all have a good night. Bye.